Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another video, and this is the only video you'll need to watch on Clawbot. Not because I'll hype it, not because I'll oversell it for you, but because by the end of this, you'll actually understand what Clawbot is, what its architecture is, and how you can actually run it on your own system and set it up for yourself, rather than just going on Moldbook and just seeing what the world is doing. Let's get to it. So first things first. What is Clawbot? Clawbot is not a new model, not a new LLM. It is not a new framework, right? It is neither a new kind of a reinventing wheel kind of a technology where it is completely building something new. No. What Clawbot is a very good implementation of an agentic AI system in the real world. Actually, if you think about it, it is a very good syllabus definition of agentic AI system implemented into the real world. So what is so special about it? If you think about it, none of the big shots like OpenAI, Google or Anthropic would ever build a system like this and put it to the public, right? Because for them, that one incident where this might go wrong would affect a lot to their company's image and PR. But for project like these, this kind of a risk doesn't come with their reputation baggage, so they can take those risks, and there is a good amount of wiggle room that they have. So this gives us the access of actually using these kind of systems on our own local systems, where I think if in our setup today, I'll be teaching you guys how we can also set up Ollama, which is a local provider for the LLMs, and integrate it with the Clawbot, so that all of those 200, 300 and 2000s API bills, $2,000 of API bills are negated, and maybe we are using all of our local resources. So I think we have done talking too much. I think we should actually move on to what the architecture is. I'll take it slow there. I know it's an agentic system. I'll take it slow, but I'll actually explain you all the parts around it, and we'll understand what Clawbot is. Now let's actually understand how the architecture of Clawbot looks like. And I would want you to actually understand it in a very simplistic way and not get onto the fancies of the technology, right? Let's see it. So think of Clawbot not as a brain, not as something like a very good intelligent system, but Clawbot is like a manager. All it does, it manages what the user is asking and what kind of capabilities I have. All it has to think is what kind of capabilities I have, where will it fit the best to use those capabilities and give the answer to the user, and maybe perform some action, right? So if you think about it, in that case scenario, Clawbot is a perfect manager and not a brain or not an LLM, right? Where it gets its brain from is from the LLM providers. These LLM providers are none other than OpenAI, right? Anthropics of the world, Googles of the world, and also Ollamas of the world, Open Router of the world, where it can access all the LLMs which are there with the LLM providers. With OpenAI, it might get 5.2 GPT, then Anthropic, it might get 4.5 and Haiku and all that stuff, right? So these LLMs are sort of the brain for this manager, right? Now coming on to what are the skills. So skills are basically a way of an agent to understand how to use anything, right? So skills is basically sort of a very simplistic workflow. So what skills does is basically, if this kind of problem comes in, how would you solve it, right? This is sort of a workflow, sort of an idea of how we develop skills, right? If once you start to actually understand after, let's say, 10th standard, it's going to be it is, let's say, another mathematical problem if you face after your 10th standard, which is a 10th grade problem, you you actually solve it in a very different way, because you know where the steps might fall off, right? So these skills are basically those kind of workflow which are basically text files, basically prompt templates given to the manager. This manager thinks, okay, now which workflow will fit the best according to the user input. Okay, which workflow will use best? Let's say the second one. Great. So it uses the second workflow. How it reasons? It reasons by using the LLM, right? So it uses second workflow or third flow, whatever the workflow, and then it calls tools. And those tools, or let's say those services where it can actually use those services and perform actions, those services are hosted on MCP servers. Now, what are MCP servers? These MCP servers, if I tell you, these are very basically, if you think about it, these are departments, right? So this manager has a lot of departmental access, right? So this can be financial department, this can be data and AI department, and this can be let's say robotics department, this can be, let's say, marketing department, right? So these departments, it has access to all of these departments. The user asks something, the agent calls the LLM. LLM understands, okay, what kind of a problem it is. The agent also understands, okay, how to solve this problem using some skill which the developer has already designed. Then it uses these LLMs and the skills to understand, okay, which tools or department I should contact to. Let's say this problem is for financial department. So it goes to the finance department and asks for XYZ thing. Now at this stage, Clawbot doesn't care what the MCP server or the department does inside. So this department may do anything in their backend, right? They might take those, let's say they ask for what are my tax filings, right? So if the agent gives let's say their actual sales numbers and revenues and profits, right? So finance department may actually go and calculate it and maybe use some other services in their backend and other services in their backend. So there might be loops of services involved, which is completely abstracted from the Clawbot or the manager, right? And once it gets those back, once it gets that back, right, whatever the tool call was, it then stores it into the memory for the future references, seeing okay, the user wanted to do this kind of stuff from the last conversation. Maybe they are still actually in the need of another these kind of requests. So then it stores this into the memory. Similarly, as the user can ask something, right, that same thing can be replicated by a cron job where you can schedule it like in the morning just go and search all the news channels and then aggregate the news for me, and then call the video generation model and create a video for me out of those newses. Let's say that it has to be a 1 minute video. Great. Okay, 1 minute. How do you create a 1 minute video, or how do you create a video? You need to follow one skill, which is a workflow. Okay, great. And then you give it back to the user where but this runs on a scheduler. So you have set a scheduler, morning 8 p.m, morning 8 a.m, or night 8 p.m, or something like that. So this is overall how the Clawbot works, which is a very rudimentary layman language that I've explained you this. But I think if we set it up, we might get a better understanding of it. But overall, if I tell you, any agentic system works like this. An agent is more of a manager rather than actually a brain. So I think we've done talking. I think it's time to actually start mega fingers move, and let's get to setting up the bot. So I think you'll have to go to the openclaw.ai where you will see this kind of a window. Let's just copy this command. We are doing for the Windows, so yep, I'll need to copy this one. I'll open my PowerShell. I'll just run this. It earlier had an OpenClaw already installed, but I did uninstall it, but it's still showing me. We'll have to wait for the installation. And by the way, I will teach you guys not just how to install the OpenClaw, but I'll teach you how to do it with the Ollama, so that you don't have to use any of the APIs and just run it for with the costs involved. I think the way we'll set it up, it will be without any costs. Great. It has installed properly. The OpenClaw is done, all the migration. So let me just do this. Let's see OpenClaw, right? And this will open sort of an help center for us to know what commands to run and what commands not to run, right? So once this opens, we'll understand. Okay, so one of the few commands that we see, OpenClaw setup. In my case, the setup has been done, and actually even in your case, the more important command would be this onboard, where you'll have to set up a few gateways and everything for yourself. There is also this configure. You use configure after you have done the onboarding. Let's say you have already onboarded, so you wanted to make those changes, you've made those whatever the settings that you wanted to set up in the initial basis, you set it up. But now after a while you want to change a few things, you do configure command. Config and configure are very similar. Doctor is basically, it helps you either migrate or fix a lot of diagnostic problems that might be there in the gateways, right? So it might say that this gateway is not working because your API key is faulty, right? So those kind of things. Then dashboard, which is very important command, which opens up the GUI of the OpenClaw. So OpenClaw comes with the GUI. Then reset is basically, you can reset the complete whatever the settings that you reset initially while onboarding, you can completely reset them. Uninstall, it's self-explanatory. Message is basically sending the first message. Memory agents, I think these are some things you won't need for sure. So let's do it on OpenClaw on board. Okay, so let's wait a sec. Yep, so it is saying so the security warning comes in. So this is a hobby project and it's still in beta, and this is a very powerful project. It goes towards it does all the, if you're not comfortable with the basic security and access control, don't run OpenClaw, ask someone experienced to help before. So okay, I understand this is powerful. Okay, yes, let's do a quick start onboarding, right? So here this is very important. So if in this case you want to use something like an OpenAI or Anthropic and you have keys for it, you can actually go and select any of them. But in my case, what we'll do is we'll skip for now. Similarly, we'll do so now we were at auth providers. Now we also have models. Who's going to provide those models, right? This Google or OpenAI, or so we'll do all providers. Now it is asking for which specific model, as we discussed, right? So honestly, we have not set up any model actually, right, currently. So we'll just leave it. So we can absolutely do this, but let's just say we'll keep it current. It is asking me if I want any kind of an input API. So let's say I want to message the bot from Telegram. Let's say I want to do it for WhatsApp. We will do this, but let's do it after a while, because it's better to set up the Ollama first, then do any kind of a channel setting up. So we can do Telegram, WhatsApp, Discord, Google Chat, Slack, Signal, iMessage, or anything. Let's skip for now. Do you want to configure skills now? I would say no, we don't need it. Do we want to set up the hooks? We don't need it. Let's just skip all of this. Skip. Let's just reinstall my gateway, and this is doing some stuff. Great. So my gateway has started, but it is showing me that the site cannot be reached, and that's a good sign for us. So this is the expected behavior that we were expecting it to have. Now let's go back to terminal. Do you want to yes, install the shell commands. Okay, great. Now the very interesting bit is here we want to use Ollama, right? So ideally in the first case scenario, you should have Ollama in your computer installed. So this is Ollama. You can actually just go and download it from here. and then run it, right? So what we need to do it here is basically we have to do Ollama surf. So this actually starts the Ollama server where we have all the models that I have that can be accessed through this. Now, if we go to our C drive, if I go to my C drive, and I just see, so I see an OpenClaw here. So this .openclaw is the directory which is responsible for all the where we all the configuration is happened in this, right? So it is accessing all of this, and this specific file, OpenClaw JSON file, is where all the configuration is stored. And whenever we want to change anything, we change it first here, right? So if we see, I haven't set up any Telegram, any model right now, so it has nothing like that, but all it has is a gateway, a port, a wizard to run it, and yes, what the timestamps to do it, right? I have already set up how a config file for Ollama, and I think I'll set it. I'll share this with you in the description. But it is basically what it is doing is it is giving a specific Ollama model to the OpenClaw. While why this kind of a way we have to choose is basically because when we are setting up using the terminal, we cannot actually go and select a provider named Ollama. There is no provider named Ollama, so we have to actually go to the config file and make the changes there, because there is no option till now in in OpenClaw's overall setting up process. So once we set up like this, we have Ollama done. And if I may, okay, so yeah, so I also have my Telegram setup also done. I just don't have my key here. I'll just set up this key. Maybe I'll not show it to you guys, but all I have to do is basically copy my key from my another from my Telegram bot. So how we do it, let me show you. So you go to Telegram, you search for bot father, right? And what you do is basically you do this. You say /new bot. It asks for, okay, what is the name of the bot you want to give? Let's say you give any name, and then great, it just creates it, and you get this access token key. I'll be blurring this, and this access token key is what you'll use it. So once this is all set up, we'll just close this. We'll go here and we'll do, so our Ollama is running, and then we'll do OpenClaw gateway. So actually what we need now is a sort of either a GUI, either a TUI or anything, and a gateway to be open so that the Ollama and OpenClaw can talk to each other, right? Great. So we see that OpenClaw gateway is running. It is also recognizing that it is running on Ollama ministral model, which we have config in the config file. Let me just open this, open the canvas. Okay, the canvas is opening. Great. Now let's just go here. Great. It is work. What it is saying is unauthorized contact, device pairing approved. Great. So one more thing that we can do here is we can go to OpenClaw and do dashboard, which will give us that GUI. Yep, great. So yep, and now if we see here, it is telling me that yeah, the health is coming out to be okay, so it's working, right? So now let's see what we can do. Let's just say, let's go to the instances. It is showing me Omen, which is my laptop's name. Session, no session found. Okay, great. Why would that be the case? Let's say hi, and then ideally it should spike my GPU because it is using my local machine. So let's just go here. Let's see what's happening to the GPU. And then, yep, it is spiking. It is spiking, and all of my VRAM is, then getting dedicated to the model. And yep, the Ollama. We see Ollama using quite a bit of memory. The reason it is using 800 MB or whatever the memory, because actually I'm using a very small 3 billion model, so it doesn't matter. So if I just do a new session, yes, great. Hi, my name is Shaurya. What can you do for me? So when you're using these small models, and I'm talking about such a small model which is just 3 billion, sometimes it starts to do something like this, where it gives you answers in different languages, because the tokenizer involved here is of a very small vocab. It does not have that big of a vocab to actually answer you and actually process your queries in that efficient manner. So it sometimes feels that you're actually requesting the model in some other language. So sometimes it's easier for you to use very bare bone basic English, so that the tokenizer can easily understand what you're trying to and make those tokens. So let's wait. Great. So now it's saying me that welcome Shaurya, I'm here to assist you. I am an AI and automation expert, knowledge and research. I can do technical support, whatever, right? Now it is saying I lack internet access, because since this is a chat interface, no physical measure. But you can give it all of the accesses. How you do it is basically, then let's go again. Let's do open claw configure, right? Once we do the configure, we understand there are a few options that we can tinker around. Yep. So let's say I want to, this is running on my local machine, OpenClaw. So I'll just choose OpenClaw local machine. Okay. So what kind of things I want to give to my model is, let's just say something like a web tool. So I want the internet access. I would say yes, enable web search, and then you would just put in your Brave search API key, which is Brave's API key. It is free. You just have to put it there. Once you put it, then you can actually use it, and then use the internet inference and fetch anything from the internet. Similarly, you can change your models from here, but I would highly recommend not to do it from here. It's better to make any changes in the config file that I showed you that is in your C and your username, under your username and the .openclaw folder, and that's where you find that config file, which is great. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I think that's all there is to OpenClaw right now. Maltberg, by the way, is down for now. I was seeing the server, it's been down for like 2 hours. I don't know when it will come up, but I think by now you have understanding of how the OpenClaw Clawbot works, where are its intricacies, and what are the things you can still configure and figure out about. There is a lot to actually dig deeper yet, and I think I'll need a separate video just to go into a deep dive of it. But I think let's see the response on this video, and we'll then decide what to do next. Bye bye.